All right, AP Computer Science A people. Here's a quick video on helpful hints for 1.1.3. Okay, so always important to look at the goals. Make sure you know how to use a single line comment. Compounded expressions, which is when you use multiplying, adding, subtracting, modulo, mixture of all sorts of things. How to do a multi-line comment, and evaluate the results of an expression. All right, so first thing to look at, if you ever are doing more than one line, or you don't know and you might come back and put more lines of comments, use the multi-line one, which starts with a slash star, ends with a star slash. If you're just doing a single line comment, you just use 2 slash marks. The cool thing about this single line is you can do it even in a line of code, and it'll read the first part and do it, and then it'll ignore the back part. Okay, and always comment your stuff out so when someone else reads it, they know what it's doing. Okay, so here's the main operators. You have multiplication, division. Modulus is weird. If you've seen it before, it looks like a percent sign. It acts a lot like division, except it leaves you with just the remainder. So if you had 5 modulo 4, your remainder would be 1. Well, if you did 5% sine 4, the answer would be 1. Then I think you know addition and subtraction. This, they said mess with these or modify them. You definitely want to spend some time working with them, especially on these last two. Like, here's what really gets people. You'd think 4 divided by 5 is 0.8, right? Let's see, division test. 4 divided by 5 is 0. What? Well, this is an integer and that's an integer. So it just divides them wrong. I mean, it doesn't divide them wrong. It just gives you an integer answer. Like if you did 3 divided by 2, you'd expect 1.5, right? Let's see what comes out. It's it's a 1. It's chopping off. It's called truncating any decimal. It's not rounding, because if the last number was 0.9, it would still round it off or chop it off. So be careful with division. Now, how do you fix that? Well, it said here, replace some of the values with doubles. So a quick fix is to call one of these 3.0. Then it figures it out, right? It even works in addition. Another cool fact is it doesn't matter which one you do. It doesn't even matter if you put 0.0. If you just put 5 point, it's kind of an easy trick we do. You can see the answer is a double. Here's the other weird one. Mess around with it. If you put 12 modulo 5, you would expect, okay, what's 12 divided by 5? You get, well, 5 goes into 10 2 times, and then there's 2 leftovers, right? The answer would be the 2 leftovers. Just to show you, if we did 13, 5 multiplies to make 10, and there's 3 leftovers. So modulo is a weird one. Mess around with that until you get it. Okay. Some other stuff. Divide by 0 is a pretty typical error. It's pretty easy to tell. And a lot of times happens with this because you're like, what the heck? Why? Even if you made this, if these are integers, oh yeah, right here, you run it, it divides by 0. You change that number, it won't be divided by 0. Here, it's kind of like math class where you have PEMDAS. You also have modulo thrown in there. So you go parentheses, I don't see any exponents, there's no such thing in Java. Multiply, first one left to right. Divide, first one left to right. It walks you through here. This tells you you really have to be careful. I tend to use lots of parentheses just to make sure my programs work in the order I care about. And then we get to the real nuts and bolts, which is trying to change your weight to what it is on other planets. Here's a little physics. Force equals mass times acceleration. We got our gravity. And if you weighed that many kilograms, I guess if your mass was that many kilograms, then you can change it over to pounds. And you'd say, okay, I could weigh as many kilograms as that many pounds. Okay, so if I wanted my weight on Jupiter, I'd take my weight on Earth and I'd do a little, what's this, unit cancellation. They do it in chemistry and stuff like that. It's lovely. Basically, you're canceling Earth with Earth and you're left with Jupiter. So if you know your weight, Earth gravity, Jupiter gravity, you can real quick do this. You're dividing by Earth and multiplying by Jupiter. You could have done that in a different order. It still would have worked. So, you can try it out. If someone weighed 200 pounds, on Jupiter you weigh 500 because their gravity is a little more powerful. Now, this says pick 3 additional. This is the one thing you're doing in this lesson, is you're picking 3 more planets to add to the program. And then you're going to average them. So you got a little trick at the end where you got to take some answers and store them and then average them. If you want to grab some of these, you can do that. It wants 3 more. Just remember that, so you can copy paste. Why not, right? So we got Earth gravity, we got Jupiter gravity. I got to add 3 more. So maybe I want Saturn because I like the rings. So we'll do double Saturn gravity equals 11.08. Okay, semicolon. And then we could do this. We're going to calculate. Ooh, that's spelled wrong. We can calculate our weight. We'll just copy this. Why not, right? And we just have to change this to 7. Okay. And then you're going to keep on going. You're going to copy this with all the print and print line statements. Remember, be careful. If you see this, if you don't leave that in there, don't get too lazy with copy paste. If you don't leave that in there, I'll show you what it looks like. Because you're like, why did you put an extra space in there? Well, you'll see. Oh, poop. What'd I do? What's it bad about? Line 16. Oh. Gosh darn it. It doesn't like that we use it again because I got a little too lazy. I didn't write weight on Saturn. Okay, and then I should probably change this one too. That'll teach me. See if it's happier. Okay, so your weight on Jupiter is this, your weight on Saturn is this. If you want an extra space between them, you can either use the new line key, right? You can do the /n, or you can do this and just do an empty set of quotes. This is a pretty classic trick to put a space. Does that look nicer? So there's one. You can do it again with the others. Be careful with your things here. You can take out Jupiter too. I like these comments. These are great single line comments. Guess we didn't need multi-line up here. In the end, you have to find average. Remember, how do you find average? Okay, so let's say I had int x. Ooh, should I do doubles? Probably. If I did int, it'll be bad. We'll do casting next. Double x equals 5. Double y equals 8. Ooh. And double z equals 10. Okay, so if I have 3 numbers and I want to average them, what do? I add them up and divide by 3, right? So I can do that. Let's see. I can do that a couple ways. I could store it as a new one. and like make a new double. That'd probably be the classy way to do it. That way, if I made it more numbers later, I'm going to make this double average and say it equals x plus y plus z. And then I'm dividing that by 3. So if I added more things later, I could just change the 3 to a 4. If you want to be really careful, you could go 3.0. Not that these are all ints, but if they were ints, it would, you think, oh, I'm safe with this double. Actually, if these were all ints, it would divide it. If I left it like this, let's say these were ints, it would divide it int by an int, chop off the decimal, and then store it as this thing called average, which is a double. I think it gives a warning if you try that. But I don't know, give it a try. Change these to all ints, and then try this and see if it gives you a warning or not. But you can always be safe like this. And then you'd say system.out.print line. Oh, did I show you? Oh yeah. Remember that error I made? See how pounds is slapped right on the back of this? That's because whenever you concatenate, that's the fancy word for adding strings together, it really slaps the next string right next to it. It's like the print statement versus print line. So it slaps this LBS right next to it unless I put a space. Okay, and I'll be done in a second. I don't even need to do this, but it's kind of fun. Print line, and I'd say your average weight number is, put a space, and then drag that over, and then I can concatenate it with AVG. See if that works. Well, maybe I should put pounds. Right, put that space in there. Look classy, people. Alright, let's see if that looks good. It'll tell me if there's an error, you know. Half my life is debugging errors. Ooh. Oh, I want a space there. Maybe we should do the new line thing. Is it this way? Let's try that. Yeah. Sometimes I put that backwards and watch what happens. It's not as cool. You're like, what's this? You don't know how many times I've done that. Alright. Anyway, hopefully that helps and you'll be able to do this. Talk to you later.